Hey y'all, Mennenga here. Every year, Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus by celebrating Christmas. They decorate their homes, give presents to loved ones, and mansplain to the Virgin Mary. But there is one thing about the birth of Jesus that many Christians don't want you to know. The story of Jesus begins with him being born in what is now modern-day Palestine, in Bethlehem. Yes, the Gospels claim Jesus was born in a town that people who read Left Behind wish to be destroyed. In fact, in 2023, the birth town of Jesus, Bethlehem, can't even celebrate Christmas this year because it is currently under siege by the state of Israel. So because Jesus was born in modern-day Palestine, does that mean that Jesus was a Palestinian? So today I'll be talking about if Jesus was Palestinian and what that means for Christians today. Before we jump in, be sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications. And let me know what you think about the video in the comments. Also, these videos take a lot of time and energy to make. So if you like my content, be sure to support me on Patreon at patreon.com/MasonMennenga. And if you enjoy my Twitter account, you can get a shirt or sticker of your favorite tweet of mine at masonmennenga.com/store. I first want to begin this video by giving the disclaimer that this video is not trying to explore the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict. There's far too much history of it to be explained in a short video. It's also way above my pay grade to give the history of it. I also want to mention that it is critical to understand for this video that the state of Israel is not the same as Judaism. Sometimes I see people who think it's anti-Semitic to not support Israel, but there are many Jews who do not support the way the state of Israel treats Palestine. So it is certainly not anti-Semitic to be critical of the state of Israel. Let's first talk about the reasons why Jesus was not Palestinian. The first main reason why Jesus was not Palestinian is because we actually don't know where Jesus was born. Even God tried to keep Jesus' birthplace a secret since he got a teenage girl pregnant. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Mason, you said at the beginning of the video that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, so we must know he was born there. But if you go back, you'll notice I said the Gospels claim he was born in Bethlehem, but we don't know where the historical Jesus was actually born. There's a lot of scholarship about who the historical Jesus was and what we can actually know about his life. Despite what a Reddit atheist says, most scholars of antiquity agree that a historical Jesus did in fact live in the 1st century. There is debate among these scholars about what we actually can know about him and his life, but generally almost all of these scholars believe Jesus was baptized and crucified. Jesus is really lucky there's no history of what he did in the first 30 years of his life, unlike a lot of us. So those are really the only two events of his life we know about. So we really have no idea if Jesus was born in what is now modern-day Palestine or not. The second main reason why Jesus was not Palestinian is because Palestine as a nation-state didn't exist back then. Well, if you're the US government, it still doesn't exist either. Palestine was a region during the time that Jesus existed and includes all of the places we know Jesus historically visited and lived. It was after the Holocaust that the state of Israel was created, and many of the Arab people living in this region were forced out of their homeland to the southern Levant region. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? After many decades of oppression from the state of Israel, Palestine officially became a state in 1988. However, some countries, the United States of America, still don't recognize it as a state. Oftentimes now, when we consider someone Palestinian, we think of them as someone who has their origins in the state of Palestine, not the entire region of Palestine. So in that way, Jesus was not Palestinian because the state of Palestine did obviously not exist during the time of Jesus. Alright, so those are the reasons why Jesus was not Palestinian. But there are also reasons why Jesus was Palestinian. The main reason why Jesus was Palestinian is his life, according to the Gospels, is very similar to Palestinians today. While we don't know much about the historical Jesus, we can still connect the stories about Jesus in the Gospels with the stories of the Palestinian people today. And there are some very close connections between the two. Perhaps the most obvious connection between Jesus' story and the story of Palestinians today is both are occupied. In Jesus' day, he lived under the Roman occupation. The Roman Empire at the time was the most powerful empire in the world. Many scholars believe Jesus may have been a political radical, and he was not alone if he was. There were many political radicals at the time that hated the occupation by the Roman Empire, and they fought back against it. Palestinians today also live under the occupation of the State of Israel, which is largely backed by the most powerful empire of our time, the United States government. In both Jesus' story and the story of many Palestinians today, the constant threat of empire was and is a daily reality. In fact, Jesus was ultimately crucified by the Roman Empire. He was whipped with 39 lashes and then killed, much like many others in his time, by crucifixion. Jesus' story is like many Palestinians today, because many Palestinians are killed by the empires of today, especially women and children. At the time of making this video, 12,000 women and children have been killed in 2023 in Gaza, Palestine. Palestinians are whipped with tear gas and then crucified by bombs that are dropped on them by the empires of our day. Their story is much like the story of Jesus. Palestinian liberation theologian Naim Atik connects the story of Jesus and the story of many Palestinians this way. Jesus Christ was a Palestinian, as we are. He lived in the same land we live in. He breathed the same air we breathe. His language and thought patterns were Semitic, as ours are. Moreover, the political situation of his day, with its many political and religious parties, showed great similarities to our situation today. Palestinians perceive him as a fellow Palestinian who lived all his life under the Roman occupation and was eventually killed by the occupation forces. So there are reasons why Jesus was not Palestinian, and there are reasons why Jesus was Palestinian. But why does it matter either way? Regardless if Jesus was Palestinian or not, Christians should be deeply concerned about the anti-Palestinian beliefs that come from fellow Christians who are Christian Zionists. Christian Zionism is a belief that the establishment of the State of Israel is needed for the second coming of Jesus. Many evangelical Christians support the State of Israel since they hold to the second coming of Jesus belief. Many of us who grew up evangelical believed that a strong State of Israel was needed in order for Jesus to come back. It's like if that Kirk Cameron movie was actual U.S. foreign policy. There are many problems with Christian Zionism, but the main ones are that it supports the genocide of Palestinians and it's deeply anti-Semitic. It supports the genocide of Palestinians because Christian Zionism believes a strong State of Israel necessarily means the displacement and genocide of Palestinians, since the State of Israel sees Palestinians as a barrier to being a strong nation state. Christian Zionism is also deeply anti-Semitic because it simply uses Jews for a Christian belief. Christian Zionists believe Jews should have sovereignty over the Levant land, so they believe they support Jews for that reason. But they only support Jews having sovereignty over the Levant land so that Jesus will return, not because they simply support Jews. In fact, many Christian Zionists believe Jews are going to hell regardless, so they simply weaponize Jews for their own selfish gain, which is anti-Semitic. So regardless if Jesus was Palestinian or not, Christians should be concerned about Palestine because much of the anti-Palestine beliefs in America come from fellow Christians who are Zionists. So there you have it, the reasons why Jesus was and was not Palestinian. Jesus was not a Palestinian because we don't know where he actually was born, and because the state of Palestine did not exist yet. Jesus was Palestinian because his story connects closely to the story of many Palestinians. So next time you sing Mary Did You Know, be sure to include the often forgotten lyric, Mary, did you know that Bethlehem would be under siege in 2023 largely because followers of your son supported it? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and also tell me what you thought about it in the comments. This video is brought to you by my Patreon producers. If you'd like to become a Patreon producer, you can find more at patreon.com/Mason Mennenga.